in there, you know, I mean, it's like, yay. So there is one presence and one power, active as the universe and as my life. God, good, omnipotent. This presence indwells all life. There is good within all. We create our experience through the energy we hold in mind. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, we connect with spirit and bring out the good in our life. And we do and give our best by living the truth that we know. We make a difference. So that is the adult version of the 5 principles. These 5 principles are the basic 5 principles of unity. The foundation one of the foundations upon which we teach. It is the spiritual practice we invite people to engage in as a personal practice. So there are other things that, you know, it's like for the ministry itself, but this is for us personally. This is our walk. This is the commitment that we make to our own spiritual journey and the unfolding of our spiritual journey. I learned a new word this week. Efflorescing. I had never heard this word before, but I was looking something up and it showed up as a synonym. And efflorescing is the unfolding of a flower to its fullness. And so I think of these 5 principles as that which is a part of our efflorescing. It's what we do in order to unfold the truth of who we are at deeper and deeper levels. These principles are not unique to unity. Yes, unity has lined them up in a certain fashion and invites people to use them. But they're divine principles of truth that really are witnessed in, I'm going to say, most, if not all, other religions. So the principle I want to talk about today is number 3. You might think, wow, she's starting in the middle. But I happen to like number 3. Actually, when, okay, wow, this is really going to go out. Okay, so when I applied for ministerial school, I have a thing about testing, and I'm not a tester. Somebody says, this is a test, and my mind goes, yeah. So I knew that I had to do some testing when I was applying for ministerial school. And I had to write a paper on the 5 principles, what the 5 principles are, and how you apply them in your life. Have you ever had an experience where your mind just actually shuts down and there's nobody home? I had never had that experience before, but I did then. It was like there was no one there. And I went, then this little voice goes, oh God. So I'm thinking, okay, wait, you got this. This is how you live your life. So you've got this. And so I started naming them off, but I could only come up with 4. For a long time, I could only come up with 4. You know which one I was missing? Number 3. Number 3 was kind of like, I just didn't want to go there. I didn't want to take responsibility. I wanted to, affirm that God is good and that there's just one presence and one power and that I can go sit in prayer and meditation and go home and all is well. And I can go out in the world and be that. But we have to back up and we have to take responsibility for our thoughts. Now, sometimes we think that it's the experience that creates the thought. Have you ever thought that you have an experience and then you have a thought after the experience? Oh, this person made me angry. Because of the experience, I'm thinking these thoughts. Actually, those thoughts are already within you. We don't think the thoughts after the experience happens. We're actually in that energy, that vibrational energy before the experience happens, because it's about how we interpret the experience. So I can be in an experience, and in the experience, I can come to the experience and go, wow, this is a really difficult experience. How do I want to show up? And take that breath and take that moment, take that space so that I can consciously show up. Or I can react. I can just, go, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. And how could this happen? And we have experiences like that all the time. I can't tell you how many experiences like that I've already had today. It's not even 11 o'clock in the morning yet. But we have that opportunity to practice all the time, to practice how are we going to react? But the way that we practice is we practice by changing our thoughts. Charles Fillmore said the one thing that we have the power to change is our mind. That is the one thing that we have the power to change. I do not have the power to change any of you. But I have the power to change my own mind, which changes the way that we perceive the world. It changes the way that we see our own lives. It changes the way we see other people in our lives. It changes the way that we show up when we change our thoughts, when we take that responsibility. So I'm going to share a story with you from the Gospel of John, chapter 5. And this is a story about changing your thoughts. So Jesus is going to Jerusalem for one of the religious holidays, and he enters through what's called the Sheep's Gate. And the Sheep's Gate is by a pool called Bethesda. I don't think I can say that word. Bethesda, that's what it is. Okay, and so it is surrounded by 5 covered colonnades. Now, metaphysically, the word 5 represents that it's a place of healing, that it's a place of possible renewal. And so here's these 5 colonnades. And there's a pool there. And around the pool, all the people who are sick or lame, have any health challenge, that want to be healed, come and lay around the pool and wait. And wait, and wait, because they're waiting for the angel of the Lord to come and disturb the waters of the pool. And when the angel of the Lord comes and disturbs the waters of the pool, the first one in the pool is healed. So as Jesus is walking through there, well, first I want to say metaphysically, the pool represents our mind. This liquid pool that's there. And the angel of the Lord represents the divine ideas of God. Those new ideas that come in, that stir up the mind to do it differently, to show up in a new way. And so we have these, it disturbs the mind. And so there's the rippling effect in the mind. Sometimes we think of it as being a little off center or in a place of confusion. So Jesus is walking through and he sees this man who's laying there on his mat, and he's lame. And he says to the man, "Do you want to be healed?" Now, the man does not say yes or no. The man gives him all the excuses as to why he can't be healed. I can't get to the pool. I'm not fast enough because, I'm lame. And so I'm not fast enough to get to the pool. And I don't have anybody to help me. Nobody's going to help me. And so all I can do is lay here on my mat. So what if that mat represents the dreams, our hopes, our dreams, our aspirations, and we're laying on them with all those thoughts of I can't and why we can't. See, because if you could get into the pool when the pool's disturbed, you'd be healed. It's taking that step. It's taking that step of action. So Jesus just looks at him and says, "Pick up your mat and walk." And the man does. What is it that's within us that is calling us to pick up our mat and walk? To let go of the old thoughts of lack and limitation and I can't and I'm not worthy. But to truly make that decision and that commitment to ourselves. So I have a favorite quote. Well, it's not just, I don't have just one favorite quote, but this is one I really like. Until one is committed, there is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans, that the moment one definitely commits, the providence moves to. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. All manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way, falls into place. So I'm going to share a little personal story. So if you receive the newsletter, then you've noticed, I'm sure you've noticed, if you receive the newsletter and you have read the newsletter, then you have noticed that in the newsletter, there is an information piece about a trip to the Holy Land. And this Holy Land trip is sponsored by Unity of Alhambra Foundation. And the Unity of Alhambra Foundation is a foundation that supports ministers and ministries in the Southwest Unity region. And they are sponsoring this trip to the Holy Land in November. So, and the Holy Land, I have to admit, the Holy Land is someplace I've always wanted to go. So but it's part of my thought process of I can't, and I do have a list. Let me tell you, the list can get really long as to why I can't do this. So a friend of mine calls me from Phoenix and says, "Charlie, are you going to go to the Holy Land?" "I want to go to the Holy Land." "You're going to go to the Holy Land?" And I said, "No, I'm not going to go to the Holy Land." She's like, "Come on, I really want you to be my roommate. We travel well together. Let's go to the Holy Land." "No, I can't," and my list of why I can't. Then someone else says to me, Charlie, are you going to go to the Holy Land? I'm going to go to the Holy Land. Are you going to go to the Holy Land? No, I'm not going. No. Again, thinking of my list of why I can't go. Third person, a couple of days later, sends me a text. A friend of mine who lives in Tucson. Charlie, are you going to the Holy Land? I really want to go to the Holy Land. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. See, because I kind of have this little rule. I have a little deal with my spirit that says, if something is brought before me 3 times, I have to check it out. So I'm like, okay, I'll check this out. So I sat down and asked myself, what really would hold me back from going to the Holy Land? Besides my beliefs in limited thinking. Nothing. Nothing would hold me back. Called my friend up and said, you still want a roommate for the Holy Land? And she's like, yes. Are you considering going? And I said, I'm in. And so our registration has been sent in, and I'm going to the Holy Land in November. Now, I had no idea how this is going to come together. But I'll tell you, everything is just doing this. It's just falling into place. And I am going, wow, this is so cool. This is one of my favorite things to do. Watch God work in ways that I could not have dreamt of. To watch Spirit work in our lives, it is so much fun to sit back and watch that happen. But we have to be willing to make that commitment. We have to be willing to make that decision rather than going, well, maybe I'll go, maybe not. It's not my kind of thing. Oh, well, but it's like, make a commitment. And when we make that commitment, everything else falls into place, no matter what it is in our life. No matter what it is. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you about making choices, because that's what this is all about. This is all about making choices. You can always make another choice. Sometimes we get caught up in this idea that if I make a choice, then I'm stuck with that decision for the rest of my life. Guess what? There are very few choices that we make in life that we're stuck with for the rest of our lives. Very few. And so it's really about knowing that as we are flourishing, unfolding in our beauty and our glory, as we're allowing our divine splendor to develop and to shine forth, as we're doing that, then we have this opportunity to have a life beyond what we ever dreamed was possible. Beyond what we ever dreamed was possible. Even though right now we may be thinking our life is pretty doggone good. What would it look like? What is the mat that you're laying on? That's the question. What is the mat that you're laying on? And what are the beliefs that you're holding on to that prevent you from moving forward? Now, there's another piece to this principle that I really want to talk about for a second, because I think it's really important. We talk about our thoughts create our experiences. Now, some people can get caught up in that our thoughts create, our thoughts create our experiences because of our thoughts and how they move. But sometimes we can get caught up in, well, I had something negative happen in my life. What did I do wrong? I had something that I didn't want to have happen in my life. So what was I thinking that caused this to happen? That is what I refer to as metaphysical malpractice. It is metaphysical malpractice to ask that question, because you know what? We live in a third dimensional realm. And so if something happens in this third dimensional realm, then sometimes it happens because of where somebody else is at, not because of where you're at. And even if it happens because of where you're at, it's not a reason to beat ourselves up. It is a call to love ourselves more deeply, rather than to beat ourselves up. Beating ourselves up never, ever, ever helps. That's one thing that I can say in an absolute never. It never helps to beat ourselves up. We won't change a thing. We stay in a lower vibration, and then we start getting into blame and anger, and we get stuck. Things happen in this third dimensional realm. It's our job to rise above when it happens. It's our job to raise our consciousness up to a higher level so that we aren't reacting down here at the hurt level. So that we have that opportunity. Every time something happens in our lives, it's just an opportunity. It's an opportunity to show up. It's an opportunity to demonstrate the divine splendor that is within us, that beauty that is within us, that peace that is within us. It's an opportunity for us to show up as a healing agent in the world. But it is not an opportunity to tell ourselves we've done something wrong. We've gotten enough of that. One of the things that we can do is begin to recognize when we're doing things that bring us what we want. Oh, when I think positive thoughts about this, I feel better and I have a better interaction with the people around me. I think I'll practice having positive thoughts about that. But what we have to be is mindful, because if we're not mindful, then we don't know what we're thinking. So we have to pay attention. So our thoughts do create our reality. They create our experiences. Because when I think negative thoughts, I feel cruddy. And when I feel cruddy, I don't act nice. If I'm thinking positive thoughts, I feel good, and I'm more apt to have a positive interaction with somebody else. That's the simplicity piece. And sometimes that's where we need to start. So I truly do ask you to think this week about what is the mat that you are lying on? What is it that you would really like to experience? And what are the beliefs that you need to let go of? What are those thoughts that you need to change in order to experience what it is you want to experience? And watch as the power and the presence of God moves in your life in ways undreamt of by men or women. God bless.